Hello, welcome to my workshop. Here in the middle of the garage I've got a couple of folding tables set up. And these folding tables make good workbenches out here because at the end of the day I got to be able to put the car back in here. Well, here on the table, something very important in any workshop is a pair of safety glasses. I'm going to put those on right now. I've also got set up my folding workbench. I mostly use that for sanding. Chair, that's very important. Over here, this black sheet that I've got on this table, that's a piece of shelf lining, and it works really good because you can put a sheet of something on there, and if you do sanding and that, it won't slide around, so that works really slick. Over on this wall, I've got a little storage bin, keep a bunch of screws in. I've also got some storage for some shorter pieces of wood and that kind of thing. And as you can see, like most garages, we got junk stored everywhere. Down here is my sander. And a nice little case I made for that I keep the sandpaper all cut to size. Over against this window, I put up some pegboard. Give me another little bit of storage for certain tools. Here's my drill press. Then we got this other workbench here, used mostly for storage. I've got a tool rack set up. At the front of the garage, I've got my saws set up. I have a scroll saw, a table saw, a miter saw, and I've also got a little sander set up down here at the end. Down here on the floor, that square box, that's where I've got my shop vac. I got the idea off the internet. You build the box and line the inside with carpet. Make sure you put a couple of exhaust holes in the back. And then when you run your vacuum, it's much, much quieter. And I use the vacuum. I've got it set up for a dust collection on the miter saw, and I can also hook it up to the sander. And the exception of the table saw, I can use those pretty much where they are. Table saw, when I want to use it, I have to pull it out to the center of the room. That's no problem because it's pretty light. And here's my power setup for the saws. I've got all the saws plugged into this power bar. So when I want to use something, I flip the switch on, and that bright yellow light comes on to remind me that I've got the power turned on now. I have another power bar down here that I've got the shop vac and the sander plugged into. So when I want to turn the vacuum on, I just flip the switch and on it goes. Here on my table saw, I made a couple of changes. Throat plate that it comes with has got a pretty wide gap in it. So I made a wooden piece that's got a much narrower space for the blade. I got a couple of push sticks I made. They're very important to have. Down on the bottom I put a piece of a mouse pad. The fence on this saw was a little bit flimsy, but I was able to shore that up with a couple of pieces of 3/4 MDF on both sides. Now it works pretty good. Down here in the front of the saw, if I can get in here, is the switch. So in front of the switch I mounted this wooden board. You can see it's not attached to the switch, it's just in front of it. So when you turn the saw on, you reach your finger in and flip it up. And when you're ready to shut it off, you don't have to try to find that little switch. It's got this much bigger area, or you can hit it with your foot or whatever you want to do. The saw has an oak feed support that pulls out on the back. I found it to be a little bit short, so I made this wooden extension for it. It's just a piece of wood that's got some blocks on it. The block just has a carriage bolt through it that fits into these end rods on the end of this thing. And when I'm not using it, it hangs on the back of the saw quite nicely. Underneath the saw I mounted a cardboard tray, and that catches most of the sawdust. With the wing extended and the fence attached, I was coming up just a little bit short of making a 24-inch cut. I think it came up to about 22 inches. So what I did was on the end of the table, end of both tables, I drilled a couple of holes, and I made a simple wooden fence that I could mount directly onto the wing of the table. And so with the fence bolted onto the end, it's just a matter of sliding the wing in and out and measuring off the front and the back of the blade until you got it set right. And then there's some knobs to lock it in position. And it seems to work pretty good. So that's my workshop. Thanks for watching.